You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere. This is your WGBW Daily News Roundup for the Talk of Green Bay, 97.9 FM and 1590 AM.
For 97.9 WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale. It took a week, but power has finally been restored to the thousands upon thousands of customers that were without it following the ice storm last weekend. At one point, almost 200,000 WPS and We Energy customers were powerless. Governor Tony Evers declared a state of emergency this week. The hardest hit areas were in Marinette County and the North Woods. Governor Tony Evers has included more than $500 million in his next budget to overhaul the State Department of Corrections. And Corrections Secretary Jared Hoy made that case Tuesday before the legislature's Joint Finance Committee. Hoy says the budget's not simply a list of funding requests, it's a blueprint for the future of Wisconsin's corrections. Evers' proposal would close Green Bay Correctional Institution and convert others while also expanding the earned release program. Republican leaders in the legislature are skeptical of that plan. Meanwhile, leaders of the legislature's Budget Committee say they're willing to compromise on efforts to close Wisconsin's aging Green Bay prison. Joanne Krulatz reports on the JFC's meeting Wednesday in Kaukauna.
In Kaukauna Wednesday, Joint Finance Committee co-chairs commented prior to taking public testimony on the state budget. Representative Mark Bourne said there are some good things in the corrections proposal from Governor Tony Evers, including closing Green Bay Correctional. Senator Howard Markline said there's always room for compromise between the two chambers of the legislature or with the governor's office. But Markline said lawmakers need a ruling from the state Supreme Court on Evers' 400-year veto before moving ahead on any budget provisions. One area where Republicans are unlikely to compromise is Evers' proposal to increase early release for some inmates. Wisconsin currently incarcerates over 23,000 people in a system designed to hold fewer than 18,000.
Due to declining membership, an organization that's been serving needy families in Brown County for more than 90 years is shutting down. The Service League of Green Bay's biggest event is the Back to School store. It provides more than 4,000 area students with school supplies and clothing. The event came to be known as the One-Stop School Shop when it collaborated with Salvation Army, Howe Resource Center, and other organizations. The remaining 10 members of the Service League of Green Bay will continue its program through the end of the year when hopefully other organizations will take over the programs. Many voters in Wisconsin had to vote on a school referendum this spring. Civic Media's Jimmy Kuska breaks down how it all came out.
Wisconsin voters approved the majority of school referendums on 2025 spring election ballots. 51 of the 89 ballot measures passed this spring, which adds up to just over $1 billion in additional local property tax levies. The largest was Oshkosh at just under $200 million. Of the 89 referendums, 56 of them were decided by a difference of less than 10% between yes and no votes. 24 referendums were decided by fewer than 100 total votes.
A full list of school referendum results is available at WGBW.FM. Rain and fast-melting snow make for swollen rivers. Here's Brittany Merlot.
Rivers rose. And you should know that over half of all flood-related drownings happen when a vehicle is driven into floodwaters. The next highest death is when people walk into or near flooded areas. It's so easy to underestimate the force and power of water, so stay away. Turn around, don't drown, because you never really know how deep it is and if the road is washed out from underneath it. Because this is also a time when culverts like to give out.
The future of the Wisconsin Supreme Court is now set. A new justice will join the bench, but they've also chosen not one, but two of the next chief justices. Savannah Tomei Olson explains.
The Chief Justice sets administrative procedures and policies, works with court officials across the state, and is the figurehead of Wisconsin's judicial system. Until now, conservative Justice Annette Ziegler had the title, but her term has ended. In an election, the justices elected their colleague, liberal Ann Walsh Bradley. She'll only serve for 2 months before she retires in July. By that point, she will have served 3 10-year terms on the state's high court. Susan Crawford will take her seat on the bench. But they've already chosen the next Chief Justice, too. Jill Karofsky will hold the title after Walsh Bradley's retirement. Karofsky spent her career in Dane County, largely working as a prosecutor for the county, then the state of Wisconsin, and has specialized in serving victims and programs that support survivors and prevent abuse. Karofsky will serve as the state's Chief Justice until April 2027. For Civic Media News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson.
If you're thinking of wetting your line in the water and maybe catching a fish or two, the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources is reminding residents that it's time to get your new fishing license for the 2025-26 season. Last year's fishing license expired Monday, and this year's fishing license is available for sale now. The annual resident license will cost you $20 per person. Married residents can apply for spousal licenses for only $31. The general inland fishing season begins on May 3rd, but some areas of the state will have other fishing opportunities requiring a license before that date. A pilot program that could spread across the state is meant to diffuse some dangerous situations. Stuart J. Waddles has more from southeastern Wisconsin.
A line of communication has been opened up between Kenosha police and those with special needs. The department has launched what they call the SAFER program. It aims to help resolve issues during emergency situations. It goes like this. People can voluntarily submit information about specific triggers or medical conditions through Kenosha.org. When someone registered is involved in a 911 call, the SAFER alert system provides responding officers with the details. Police say it will enable them to tailor their approach.
I'm Lisa Hale, 97.9 WGBW News. For news anytime, log on to WGBW.FM.
A Badger leaving Wisconsin. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Men's college basketball. Badgers guard John Blackwell says he'll enter the NBA draft. Blackwell says it's his dream to play in the NBA. Now, as a sophomore, if he thinks there isn't enough interest, he can come back and play another year at Wisconsin. He must decide by June 15th. NBA, the Bucks beat the 76ers in Philly, 126-113. Giannis with a triple-double, including a career-high 20 assists, setting an NBA record.
I love handling the ball. You know, I love playing off the ball. When you're a primary ball handler, you just got to keep on making good decisions for the team. I try to make the best decision possible, either for myself or for my teammate.
The Brewers beat the Reds 1-0 at AmFam Field. A good night for catcher William Contreras and pitcher Nasty Nestor Cortez.
I feel like me and Contreras were on the same page all night long. I know we had a bad one in New York, but I felt like we were on the same page the whole time.
That's Nestor Cortez with Sports. I'm Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. It's week 14 at the box office, and the Minecraft movie is hitting the big screen. That's right, another video game turned movie. The family-friendly film stars Jack Black, Jason Momoa, and Emma Myers. The film has not yet been reviewed. If you're in the mood for a comedy that's not ridiculously silly, check out The Friend, starring Bill Murray and Naomi Watts. Watts plays a teacher, and Bill Murray, her mentor and deceased friend, who leaves her a giant Great Dane. The film is pulling in 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the word on the street is that the Great Dane is an incredible actor. And finally, a movie that sounds really interesting and stars pretty cool guys named Pedro Pascal and Ben Mendelsohn. Action comedy drama Freaky Tales is about a corrupt cop, an NBA star, a female rap duo, teenage punks, neo-Nazis, and a debt collector who are on a collision course in 1987 Oakland, California. I'm curious. The film is pulling a 67% on Rotten Tomatoes, so let's go to the movies. Netflix's Adolescence is a ratings champion for the streamer. It tells the story of Jamie, a 13-year-old boy who is arrested for murdering a classmate and how his family deals with the trauma. Heavy stuff, but very well done all the way around. So well done in tackling controversial issues like toxic masculinity and social media bullying that Variety reports that the UK government feels the show is so important they are making it accessible to UK schools, parents, and teachers. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer said he watched the show with his teenage children and that it really hit home. Starmer says he thinks as many children and parents as possible should see the show and have discussions about what kids see online so parents can better support them. Starmer calls the show groundbreaking. The 4-part series was created by Jack Thorne and Stephen Graham, who plays Jamie's father. Thorne says they created Adolescence to provoke conversation about a growing crisis. It's certainly done that. If you're looking for a movie to watch and don't feel like leaving the house this weekend, check out Last Breath. The film, starring Woody Harrelson, follows a deep-sea diving crew trying to fix a pipeline on the ocean floor when one of the crew members gets gets stuck. The rescue mission is fascinating, as is the story about the crew member who goes without oxygen for a prolonged period of time. It will blow your mind. The movie is a quick watch and received excellent reviews. Cannibal enthusiast and actor Armie Hammer's new film will be called Citizen Vigilante after Batman fans and Warner Brothers took issue with the original title, The Dark Knight. They really didn't think that would be an issue? Variety reports Hammer plays a vigilante who takes justice into his own hands and takes down criminals and maybe has them for dinner. I added that last part. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
I'm meteorologist Brandon Bormans. A nice finish to the work week with partly sunny skies, not much wind, and highs in the lower 50s. For tonight, a few showers possible late, otherwise cloudy with a low near 37. On Saturday, increasing sunshine with highs again in the lower 50s. Currently, it's 39.
That's your WGBW Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at WGBW.FM. The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.